I suspect it is live. Hey, yeah, you've been live for like 5 seconds. The new system for streaming on YouTube doesn't entirely tell me when it starts. It kind of gives me a vague impression. And then when it finally pops up, it's like, you've been live for 6 seconds. That's why last week there was like this long pause of me staring at the computer. Anyway, my name is Jeff Rolka. Thank you for joining me this evening at our weekly live event. This is your live event. The chat is open, and I am here to answer questions or say hello or whatever else happens to come our way this evening. So it's your event, yeah, it's up to you to submit questions, and I will answer them. I do not personally have an agenda for this evening. That being said, if you've chosen to subscribe, thank you very much. If you haven't yet, I hope that you will consider doing so at your earliest convenience. And yeah, wow. Hello, Greg. Hello, 5280 Coaching. Hello, Bhavya. Tadeus, hello. Tadeus, I'm doing well. Thank you very, very much. I hope that you are doing well too. Altug, hello. Sandra, hello there. Sandra. Christoph, and Christoph is from Mexico. Yeah. Do feel free to give me a shout from wherever you are from. I wish I would have kept like a list or something like that when I first started this thing and just sort of kind of made notes of the countries. But recently, Afghanistan and Serbia, and then last week was the first person from Luxembourg, which was really cool. We regularly have people from Hong Kong, in the Philippines, and just all over the place. Christoph is from Mexico. Welcome. Heidi, hello, in Turkey. And Akala, that's not a name I recognize. But welcome. Karina Chen, thank you very much. It's good to see you here too. Akalas, I love your warm-ups. Thank you. I really, really appreciate that. Hello, Moi Moi's had their message retracted. Karina Chen, I thought you are not coming on live. No, I have every intention, unless I tell you otherwise. I am going to be here 6 p.m. London time every Saturday. This is what I do at 6 p.m. on London time every Saturday. Later on in August, I'm actually going to take a few weeks off, but that's not for weeks and weeks. So, Mrs. Webster, hello. Welcome. Thank you, Karina. I really appreciate that. Fred Scavoli, hello. Quiet Skills is saying hello from Texas and hello from England. Alejandra, hello. Jeff and everyone, hello and welcome. Christoph, let's get some tacos after this. I would love some tacos. I do not recommend getting tacos in London. I tried that a few times when I first moved here, and it was very disappointing. So I have abandoned the hope of getting solid tacos here. Altug, all right, got some questions coming in now. Altug, hey Jeff, I can't do the super lip trill. There is nothing to pull on my cheeks. Is there an alternative? And hello again from Turkey. Oh, I don't know why. How interesting. Okay, well, why does this feel like it's low again? You know what? Somebody did something different. What did they do? You know what I think they did was rather than pinching and pulling, what they did was they went like this. They kind of put their hands on their cheeks and just gently, very gently, just a little. That's pretty tough. So the thing to do is to just only sweep the cheek flesh back enough to kind of increase the difficulty. When we do that, what we're looking to try to achieve is to feel more engagement, more oomph from those abdominal muscles. That's going to really, really, really help out airflow in the upper register. So maybe just a little Just a little sweep back. Gingy, hello. That is another user ID I do not recognize from before. Welcome. Mrs. Webster, my question for this week is regarding how to sing high notes without sounding pinched, but also not having the volume overpower the others I'm singing with. That will be challenging. I suppose the shortest answer to that is to blend it a little bit more cricothyroid dominant. So, if you're here and you're singing, now this is for me, and I'm assuming by high notes you mean over the break or over the secondo passaggio. Now, if it's not quite that high, this still kind of applies, but it would be more dramatic here. So if I'm going to be completely connected, there's a fairly significant volume increase in order to maintain the consistency of timbre. But if I can allow my voice to be a little bit more cricothyroid dominant or a little more head voice dominant, I can have a little bit less volume without getting pinchy. Now, you have to engage a bit more in order to attenuate the volume that way. You have to make sure that the vocal fold has that subglottic pressure, that airflow from underneath it. Otherwise, it's going to start to squeeze and you're going to get pinched. So you've really got to redouble your efforts and attention to your engagement in order to make that work properly. Today is in South Africa. Cool. And Alejandro's in Argentina. Awesome. Doug Z, what's up? Jeff, great channel from Long Island, New York. Thank you very, very much, Doug Z. I really appreciate that. Karina Chen, since we are all in, I believe you're in Hong Kong, way on the other side of the world. Since we are all steady fans of yours, can we sing on your YouTube sometime? Perhaps we can all have online lessons each week. That, I just broke 16,000 subscribers today, which is, for me, I think about these things all as being huge, huge landmarks. That would be an awful lot of teaching. I don't think it's physically capable for me to individually meet with all of you on a week-to-week basis, much as I might like to. It would be amazing. That would be really, really cool. I have given some thought to doing it would be a live event similar to this, but my thought was to do like a live lesson with somebody. I'm not in a position to do that right now, but probably if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen sometime near the end of this year, like October, November, and we'd have to figure out how to get people in the same, like you'd have to be in the same places with me. There's some technical constraints around that, and some other kind of boring stuff that we'd have to talk about before doing it. But I've been giving that a lot of thought. I've also given some thought to doing live events like this with like a live group of people where we could go from one type of vocal affectation. Like basically we would do like some vocalizations and some troubleshooting and things like that together and work our way through them. So that has in fact been on my mind. Yeah, it could be cool. It could be really, really, really cool. I would certainly have a good time, and I think it'd be a lot of fun. So yeah, that's that. I'd like to make that happen in the not terribly distant future. Karina Chen, I even start to feel anxious. It'd be all good. It would be fine. We got a really cool group of people, I feel, happening here. There's a lot of like really, really good vibes, a lot of really great positive reinforcement and positive constructive criticism that happens within the channel and with everyone. So I think it'd be fun. Striker Kane, Altog, me too. Today is, how can I develop a stronger, more resonant chest voice? Well, the answer is actually in your question, and that is to focus on resonance. That is where you're going to find your strength. if you're feeling a lot of weight on your voice, that robs you of resonance. Voice, I've said this, I talk about this from time to time. It's a little bit heady, not heady like a head voice, but heady as in sort of conceptually kind of heady, in that the voice is a non-linear instrument. When you listen to, these huge operatic voices, they are achieving that by parlaying proper engagement and airflow over a released vocal fold mechanism and released soft tissues in the oral cavity. The weight isn't born on the vocal fold proper. It's a release of that and an overall combination of resonances that make those voices so big. So if you're here in your chest voice and you're really laying into it with a lot of vocal fold engagement, what you're going to end up doing is dampening down the resonances, and you're not going to have as big a sound as perhaps you are going after. So rather than trying to force it, think more about balance of airflow and alignment of vowels. And also knowing where you are in your range. If you are ascending towards the zona de passaggio, and you know that you're going to ascend over it, you have to balance that production there in the thyroarytenoid dominant voice such that you still have enough flexibility. This also is balanced with your engagement. So the more your engagement and vowel alignment is optimized, then the more resonance you will have overall, the bigger and more consistent sound you will have from the top of your range to the very bottom and back. Christoph, my question is how to sing a high F-sharp G. I find it weak on my head voice and too strained for my chest. Yeah, if you're a tenor, that's like right on the zona de passaggio, right on the secondo passaggio for you. And that one, among them all, requires a lot of faith in terms of making it so that in that point where you have a balance between thyroarytenoid dominance and cricothyroid dominance, you can release enough to have proper airflow in order to have good resonance. So, whoa. If you're there, that top note there is just in my head voice. But by making sure that I'm balancing my tone production below the secondo passaggio, that means that I can keep that resonance going as I ascend over the secondo passaggio, and I get a more powerful sound. Again, all those key areas, I started in D flat, so I went up to a G sharp, and then I worked my way down, G natural being the top note, F sharp being the top note. All of those are right on my secondo passaggio, or just above it, and then just below it. But when we balance our resonance and we balance the weight on the vocal fold, we get that resonance to keep going. And that is how you're going to get a good, powerful sound in that range of your voice. Altug is talking to Stryker. Christoph. Yeah, Christoph, exactly. I lived in California for a long time, and I never made it down to Mexico, though. A bunch of my friends went down there, and they would talk about, street tacos and how amazing they are. I love Mexican food a lot, but I only eat it when I go back home to California because it's good. It's good, and it's just expensive and not so nice here in England. But some days I'm gonna have to make the trek down there sometime, and go to the source. Mrs. Webster, laughing out loud. No tacos in London. Yes, it would be difficult to find good Yorkshire pudding in Mexico. This is true. Striker Kane, push face cheeks back. Yeah. Karina Chen, tacos, great in LA. I agree. And even like just outside San Diego, was it, I forgot where we were, but there's this amazing bar that I went to. My friend was living in San Diego at the time. And man, like some amazing fish tacos at this place, but I don't. It's not. I'm thinking of Ocean Beach, but that's outside San Francisco. Mm-hmm. Skype Hussein is asking what condenser mic up to $100 US. Excellent question. Hello, JC's Radiant Ray. Welcome. Good to see you pop up there. I presume you're talking about. Okay, so now there's a difference here between like small diaphragm condenser mics. I'm trying to see if I don't have one handy. And then of course, so like small diaphragm so-called pencil condensers, or large diaphragm condensers. If you're talking about a large diaphragm condenser microphone, for vocal purposes or guitar purposes, $100 is awfully low. If you mean a stage mic, even that's really low for a condenser microphone. Skype, could you narrow it down for me a little bit? Are we talking a stage mic, a pencil condenser like that you might use to record guitars, or like a drum overhead? Or are you talking about a large diaphragm condenser microphone that you would use for like lead vocals? Because that'll help me help you as much as I possibly can. Again, $100 US is quite a small amount, and makes me think about suggesting used. But you want to really be able to test drive a mic if you're buying used. But that being said, you can get great deals on used microphones. But narrow it down for me. Striker Kane has great tacos at his house. Hello again, JC's Radiant Ray. Altug, and why is the need for the super lip trill not the normal? It's just to try to get even more engagement and more airflow, particularly as you're ascending up beyond the secondo passaggio and getting into the next registration event up above that. Airflow is so vital to keeping the vocal fold loose and released. And that facilitates those transitions. So we've got to really keep the air lifting from underneath it, and so that's why I use that exercise from time to time. Not everybody needs it, and you might not, but I do find it very beneficial. Maddie, hey, welcome back. I haven't seen you in a while. I'm diligently preparing for my first Nats competition. Really looking forward to it. I myself am a Nats member. Good luck. Altug. As for vowel modifications, I understand that vowels get narrower. No, that's not right. I think that gets perpetuated in various formats, but no. They widen as we ascend towards the upper register. Just listen to me. Let's say I start here. E. I'm using E and A because E is the narrowest forward focusing vowel, and A is not too dissimilar to it. And listen as I ascend here through the key areas. E. E. Now you're going to start to hear it a bit more. A turns almost into eh. You can hear how that A is really favoring eh as I'm up at the secondo passaggio and then coming down. So they're broadening ever so slightly, not overly much. I mean, we only want them to broaden sufficient to facilitate proper airflow as we ascend above the secondo passaggio. Too much, and we risk getting more We risk abducting the vocal fold and getting a falsetto tone production, which we don't want. We want to keep the vocal folds closed so they're adducting properly. But we open those vowels ever so slightly to facilitate airflow. Sandra, alternative to the superlative is a good one. Excellent. I always have aching cheeks after an exercise. Definitely will try that. Very good. Very good. Yeah, I don't remember. I was working with somebody and they did that. And I was like, that's absolutely brilliant. Bhavya, if you're sounding breathy when you're singing you're losing your vocal fold closure, right? So you're going the vocal folds are abducting, they're separating. Try the NG exercise and then transition to trying to keep everything the same. That exercise is in a bunch of videos. I'm sorry, I can't think of one off the top of my head. I think it's in the mask resonance video. You can practice it there. And I know it was in one of the more recent warm-ups. But again, the actual titles are escaping me right at the moment. Mrs. Webster, yep, well over the break. It's high Fs and Gs, and my break is usually between B and C sharp. I don't remember what I was talking about when we first talked about that. That's the danger in the speed. No, it's not really the speed round yet. We've got a little bit of time before I have to enter the speed round, but lot of questions. I hope that I've answered that question. I hope that's an acknowledgement, not a tweak. Alejandra, I've got a question about strengthening my chest voice, especially when singing high, but in chest voice. I use soprano warm-ups. I've tried with the alto ones to improve this. What do you recommend? Well, I mean, it all does. Can you tell me a bit more? What's your normal range? Like, where's your secondo passaggio, and what are we talking about here? Like, I know the range of the soprano videos and the alto ones, but I don't know your vocal range. It depends on where your chest voice, and also, are you talking about belting? And where would your secondo passaggio be? Beyond a major second above the secondo passaggio, I don't recommend that you continue to belt. If you're choosing to do that anyway, there's still some things that you might be able to do that I can suggest, but give me more information about where your secondo passaggio is if you are aware of it. And yeah, that's basically it. Mrs. Webster is saying thank you so much to Sandra Earhard. Very cool. Tadeus, how can I regain my whistle notes? Good question. Practice is certainly the short answer. A certain amount of release as well, I suspect. The whistle tone thing, I've done not a ton of research on that because it's just not something that I spend much time practicing, teaching, nor thinking about. But the main thing that's difficult about that is because the epiglottis is covering the vocal fold during that tone production, it's very difficult to know what's happening with the vocal fold proper and how to orient the apparatus. So I wish I could be more helpful. I'm still trying to vet my distortion information. John Watkins says thank you, and I say that thank you. You're very welcome. Welcome. Kiwi Girl 941. Do you have a video on bridging between, I'm assuming that means chest, not cheat, and head voice, basically transitioning smoothly? Anybody not? How would I go about doing this? There are lots and lots of videos on the channel about that. If you search my channel for how to sing in head voice or how to sing, I think there's another one, how to sing over the break. They go through the process that I work on with my clients to facilitate exactly that, transitioning smoothly from chest voice, thyroarytenoid dominant singing, to head voice, cricothyroid dominant singing. In short, the exercises start by descending. And if you've ever done that siren exercise, which is very, very common, the woo, that hollow sounding place where you begin that exercise is your cricothyroid dominant voice, your head voice. Perhaps the most important aspect about making that transition smoothly is to differentiate between head voice proper, which is hollow sounding but not airy, and falsetto tone production, which has the abducted vocal fold and a lot of air leakage. They are not the same thing, though those terms get crisscrossed and swapped and used interchangeably all too frequently for my comfort in vocal pedagogy. But those videos are on the channel already, and I would suggest you have a look. And then if you've got more questions, you know where to find us. We're here. Karina Chen, can you explain how we can take online lessons on Skype if we do not have an instrument in front of us? I have to ask this. That is not a stupid question. There are no stupid questions. Basically, the short answer to that is that if you're using a Macintosh computer, I send all kinds of pre-recorded files and tracks utilizing GarageBand, because GarageBand comes with your system software. And we together in the Skype lesson tailor those so that they are appropriate to the exercises and practices that we are working on to help you. If you use a PC, then I have a Dropbox account with dozens of pre-recorded MP3s that adhere to certain ranges and groups, and we work off of those to have exercises that are in an appropriate range for you. This defeats the latency, so you can sing along with these tracks. I can give you combinations of vowels and exercises to work on. For pieces and things like that, we either source out pre-recorded MP3s that you use on your end, or I create guide tracks for you, and I send them to you in advance. And that's it. Altug, 16,013 subscribers are great. Congratulations. Thank you very much. You got to start somewhere. I had 5 not that long ago myself. Christopher Green Davis, hi, I'm Chris from New Zealand. Love what you do. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I have to assume that Kiwi Girl is also from New Zealand. So you have another person out there in New Zealand who's watching. What time is it in New Zealand? It can't. I don't know. But welcome and thank you for joining us this evening, day, whatever it is in New Zealand. Karina Chen, hooray, excellent. Monsieur Maubet, hey there, Jeff, and good evening to you. Thank you, sir, and good evening day to you. Akala, I am a baritone, I think, and I have troubles to hit the high notes on my own songs. They don't sound as full as when I sing in the lower register. Fair enough. Okay, so first things first. Work your vocalizations to get a balanced tone production in your thyroarytenoid dominant singing voice, your chest voice. So what that means is go to those exercises that are short. He, he, he. You want as it when I do that, it feels very natural. It doesn't feel like talking, but it doesn't feel terribly dissimilar either. I feel nothing. I feel a bit of buzzing and kind of warmth and resonance around the larynx in my oral cavity, but it just feels very, very comfortable and balanced. He. Start with the short ones, work towards melismatic ones. Practice them primarily in your thyroarytenoid range. As you get more comfortable and you have good alignment, so what that means is once you've got good alignment, they all sound and resonate similarly, then start moving that up increasing your engagement and airflow as you make your way towards the zona de passaggio, and then practice. Meanwhile, start practicing from above your secondo passaggio down and that's going to help you refine your vowels in the zona de passaggio, because you're going to become more aware of how you need to form those vowels to make a successful transition through the secondo passaggio. That can take some time and a lot of practice, but that is how you will get those notes that are at the top of your chest range to better match what's at the bottom of your chest range. Gingy, I have a question. When even I attempt to sing in a similar way to Ed Sheeran, my voice sounds raspy, groggly whenever I go higher, louder. Do you know how to fix this? It really depends a lot on where you're starting and what your overall vocal range is. If you are a bass baritone vocalist trying to sing Ed Sheeran and you're not making a smooth transition through the secondo passaggio, then you're going to have problems. Conversely, if you happen to be a very high ranged vocalist and you're forcing your voice to go lower in order to adhere to his range, that could be problematic too. It depends a lot on where you are starting, quite frankly. The big picture here is to start with a well-balanced vocal production. So to start with that, take those tunes and transpose them so that they're all in a very comfortable range, whether that means bringing them down or bringing them up. Put them in a key that is incredibly comfortable to you. Work on them there. Move the key around a little bit and play with it and see, like, okay, now I'm coming back up towards the original key. And it starts to get raspy when I get to within a major second of it. What's going on there? What notes are we now singing? What's your airflow like? What are the vowels involved? There's so many different variables involved here. And the same is true if you're pushing your voice down. Bring it up to a comfortable level, repeat the process, work it around. And ultimately, I would ask myself the question of, if my voice is not the same range as Ed Sheeran's, why would I sing it in the same key as Ed Sheeran? Because the song was written for Ed Sheeran. He wrote it, and he wrote it to his strengths. He didn't write it for your strengths. And so that brings into the question of, like, well, should I even be singing this in the original key? If I'm doing it for academic purposes to practice and learn, well, yeah, that sounds great. If ultimately the goal is to have the best sounding performance, well, then maybe you need to change the key. Altug. 1, set the metronome to 60 BPM. 2, breathe in for 4 breaths. 3, breathe out for 4 beats. When you are comfortable, increase 4 beats to 5 and continue increasing as you progress. Credited to Farinelli. What do you think? Sounds like fun, I guess. It seems like an interesting exercise in breath control. I would probably not do that, simply because it seems kind of, I mean, if you just purely want to practice breath control, that's cool. But I would much rather include vowel adduction, because length of phrase is as much dependent on how well aligned your vowels are as is your overall breath control. So I would prefer to do something like and then slow it down. And then go higher. And work on my breath control that way. I suppose that's more complicated, because if your vowels are out of alignment, then you're going to use more air even at the same tempo. But I like the use of the metronome. That's really great. We should all be practicing with metronomes. Christoph, my question is how to sing a high F sharp G. I find it weak on my head voice and too straight. You know what? I'm going to say, Christoph, and I hope this is all right. I addressed that quite a lot a few minutes ago, and I want to get to. I will circle back to that if I have time near the end. But I did address it just a few minutes ago, and once we're done here with our live event, it will be archived and released to YouTube, and you can go back and listen to all those audio examples and everything in there. Heidi Banker, how did the Google Hangout event work out? I was without computer for the week. And you made it. That's incredible. The Hangout was pretty cool, I think. People seemed to enjoy it. There were 3 of us. I need to do a little bit of thinking about the format and how I want it to work. I want it to be more of a performance venue where people can come and sign up and have a slot. And I just want it to keep moving really, really quickly. So I'm going to do some thinking about it, and I also need to explore. Google Hangouts has changed a lot since last time I used it, and I have to say it is really cool. Like it is amazingly cool. But in order to facilitate the flow of a greater number of people, like if I had more, like if it were more than the 3 of us, I could have never done the event. Like we would have run out of time, and I want to make sure that everyone that signs up gets a chance to play and sing. So I need to do a bit more research on how the Google Hangouts works and how I can facilitate that. But I plan on doing it again, probably in another like 10 days, 2 weeks time. And if you're on Sequencer, that's where the announcement goes out, folks. If you don't know about the Facebook group, it's called Sequencer. It's a closed group, but you just ask to sign up and I'll give you the okay. And there's all kinds of cool stuff going on. Lots of information going back and forth. Lots of people submitting examples of their singing and getting really cool feedback. I weigh in as much as I can. I don't always weigh in because I don't always have enough time to do everything. But there are so many good vocalists, so many people that are studying music and have great feedback. Heidi is there, Maddie is there, Stryker, I think Karina's there. There's almost 100 people now. It's grown really quickly. So come on over and check it out. But anyways, that's where I'll make the announcement, and I'll probably try to have between 5 and 10 people perform next time. But it was cool. It was like a global open mic. But it was awesome. Yeah, it's really, really helped me think about how I want the thing to go and how I'm going to do it in the future, but I got to figure out a few things. Mrs. Webster at Karina Chen, Mrs. Webster at Maddie Hendricks. Gingy, and how do I make head voice less breathy? Got to have better adduction of the vocal folds. Got to have better adduction. Start by going backwards. You. That way has a future in terms of learning to make a successful transition through the secondo passaggio. If you want to maintain your resonance from your thyroarytenoid dominant singing voice, your chest voice, into your cricothyroid dominant singing voice, your head voice, you have to have a balance between on the vocal fold. It can't be too heavy. It can't be too light. It's got to be just right, and it's got to have airflow to support it so that it can stay released. The minute those laryngeal muscles start to contract and hold things taut to try to increase the frequency is when you cease to have the required flexibility for the cricothyroid muscles to elongate the vocal fold. That's when you get abduction of the vocal fold and you get breathy. Christoph, that's helpful. Thanks. Excellent. Akela's in California. Oh, that's what I'm talking about right there. Whereabouts in California, man? Or woman. Sorry. I use that term ubiquitously, and I apologize. I do not mean to be offensive if that's offensive. But yeah, where are you from in California? Monsieur Maubet, last night I tried honey and lemon in hot water, and boy, oh boy, did it really went going with no strain or pain for a good 2 hours. A really good drink. It really is. A little ginger can be nice too, if it doesn't mess you up. But yeah, a little bit of honey, a little bit of lemon. Actually, lately I've been squeezing like a whole lemon into mine and putting like a chunk of ginger, and I kind of cook it. So I cook the ginger in there and then strain it. Whole lemon and like a little honey. So nice. Luck Vlogs. Why my voice sounds sharp when I sing? Well, if you're actually sharp, then you are singing out of tune. If it just sounds sharp, then you may have a little bit more front point or mask resonance than is entirely necessary for what you're singing. That NG exercise that I did a little while ago is great for balancing that. Akela at Skype, check the Russian brand Octava, really good microphones and affordable. You can get them used too. Thank you so much for chiming in with that, Akela, because honestly, I was thinking about, and I was gonna mention the Russian brand name, but I couldn't quite remember what they were. But they are really good microphones. I have used those in the past, and they are incredibly affordable. I think you used to be able to get a matched pair of pencil condensers for like $100. I don't know if they're still that inexpensive or if that was like a Guitar Center special or what, but they were really, really inexpensive. Rode can be, I think, bang for your buck. Rode microphones are excellent as well, but you're probably looking at trying to find one of those used. The NT1A is really affordable and is an awesome microphone, but you'd have to find it used to get even close to $100 US. Actually, I might be really off on that, Mike. It's been a long time since I priced those out. If you have a nosy voice, you got to balance back a little bit. This is actually where that NG exercise can be used a little differently. Normally, people are trying to incorporate mask resonance with it, so the recommendation is to bring it forward. Doesn't sound particularly nice. It's not supposed to. It's supposed to make you aware of that resonance in the front of the mask. The opposite of that is to really become aware of what it is to bring that back. And that can be very, very helpful for balancing out that nosiness with it. Lawrence Wilson, does cardio help with breathing? It might. I'm of the opinion that singing is the best exercise for singing. But I think that having good overall health, exercise being an aspect of that, is just good for us. Our bodies are our instruments. And, if you can do cardio or whatever cardio you can do, I think is good. I'm a big fan myself, and it is something that I do too. Danielle Dizon, hi everyone. It is my first time to join live. It's 3 a.m. in Japan. My hat is off to you. You and Gerald Ryan are burning the midnight oil to join us. I haven't seen Gerald Ryan pop up today, but he might be lurking out there. But welcome and thank you for joining us. That's awesome. Arbel, hey Jeff, quick question about vocal sore. How do you deal with that? Because one day I could sing very well. I could hit any notes I wanted. The other days I couldn't. I'm wondering if you mean by being, I thought you were saying like soaring vocals, but I think what you mean is being sore, like hurting. If you are getting sore, then you are using your voice in an unbalanced fashion, and you are fatiguing the vocal fold, and the day that follows that may see a reduction in range, endurance, or overall tone quality. If you're getting sore, evaluate your airflow, evaluate the balance of your vowels, particularly, well, start with your chest voice and then move it out from there. Move into your extremities from there. If you have a poorly balanced phonation, your singing is out of balance in your thyroarytenoid dominant voice, your chest voice, it's almost certainly imbalanced elsewhere. Bringing it into alignment, bringing those vowels into alignment, and bringing yourself into balance so that you're only using as much engagement of the musculature of the larynx as is absolutely necessary will make it so that you don't get sore. Skype. I mean, $100 for a used one for a home studio. I would like it to be as universal as possible. I've got dynamic mic already. Sure, SM57, no surprise there. No, those are awesome. Every studio's got at least one. Its signal is too low sometimes. Fair enough. Yeah, then I would highly recommend, I think, what Akela mentioned about the Octava is a great suggestion. You might find a used Shure KSM32 in that price range. You might find a Rode. I would suggest you get a large diaphragm condenser microphone, though you may consider an RE20. That is a large diaphragm dynamic microphone. Those are ubiquitous for voiceover work. They can also be used for vocals, and they can be used for a variety of other things. That is the next microphone that I want for my studio is an EV RE20. They have a lower cost RES 20, I think, or 20S or something like that. They have a lower cost one. Still looking used there. Maybe a used Rode NT1A. If you could find a used KSM42 by Shure, that would be great. But those are probably going to be outside your price range. You might find a used blue mic as well. They look a bit funky, but a large diaphragm blue. The model names escape me right now, but many of those are very affordable, and every one I've ever used sound beautiful. They are beautiful sounding microphones. Alternately, maybe wait a little longer and spend a little bit more. I am a big fan of waiting for the right mic rather than getting something that you're going to want to replace in a year or two's time. Skype. Yeah, any of those for vocals will work great. They will work really, really well for guitar. They will work. They'll be great for piano. The only problem there is, of course, usually you want two for piano. You want a stereo field. Yeah, those mics, you can use those mics on all those things very, very easily. Capone, you're singing imitations of animal voices. You find the crane bird successful. Excellent. I wonder why, but that's cool. Any new videos coming up soon that we should know about, or do you have a schedule for some videos coming out? Someone mentioned last week. I keep a list, and I am due to do probably another one of the requests. I kind of just pick whatever my fancy is off of the lists that I don't necessarily do them in order. And so someone requested some like Eastern scales, and I haven't done an Eastern scale in a long time, so I'm probably going to do that. I know I'm due for another like general warm-up in the next week or two, probably 2 weeks time for that, and that's going to come out. And there was another I want to do another microphone work. I want to do another work the mic quick tip for a studio mic. So I'm probably going to do that within the next week or two as well. Nomar, how to completely avoid tension in the neck. You know what? One of the things you can do for that is just stay in motion for a while. You can't necessarily do that on stage, although if you're singing pop rock or in a cafe, it doesn't matter. You can do that. But in your practice, move around. Move. Be arrhythmical. All right? So if the exercise is and move through the breath, but if you're going or that is a different kind of tension. So be a bit flexy, move around. Michael Solano, thanks, Jeff. You're an awesome teacher. Every practice video is great, different, and full of new information. Without any formal vocal training, I find your explanations extremely helpful. Thank you. I really, really appreciate that. Michael Solano, it's your first time here. Well, welcome. Welcome. Mrs. Webster, your program starts at noon here in Central Standard Time Zone. Lawrence Wilson, how do we find out about Skype lessons? Thanks, and you're an amazing man. Thank you very much. I really, really appreciate that. You can get in touch via jeffrolka.com or voicelessonssf.com, and we can go through all the details there and get it all sorted out. It's actually really a simple process to get started, and quite effective, if I may say so myself. I have to admit, I myself am a convert. I started doing Skype lessons because some of my clients, when I was teaching in San Francisco, moved out of the area and they wanted to continue working with me and asked if I would consider doing it. And I did. I tried it out. And after a short, really, really short period of time, I got a few tweaks going on, and in some ways, I almost think they're better than having a lesson in person. Not in terms of flexibility, because when I'm at the piano, there's an incredible amount of flexibility. But in terms of just the comfort, timeliness, efficiency, like from an efficiency standpoint, they're fantastic. So yeah, you can just, you can get in touch via those websites and we can talk it all out. Mrs. Websters, got to be keeners to catch your program in New Zealand, 7 a.m. on Sunday mornings. Folks are dedicated. Yeah. So 7 a.m. on Sunday. Craziness. Welcome, Mike Solano. We've got a great group here. We do indeed. Akela, wow, thank you so much for that answer. You are awesome. Thank you very, very much. I really appreciate it. Michael Chikizi, hey, Jeff, I read something about twang in singing. Should we think about getting the twang while singing or just focus on getting clear vowels while singing? I need to look that up and see what you guys are talking about, because someone asked about that 2 weeks ago, and I thought they were talking about trying to sound like Southern, which you just don't want to fake a Southern accent, trying to pass it off in Nashville or something like that, because they will eat you alive. But I wonder if what you're talking about is the singer's formant, like the ping that is often spoken of in bel canto. And if that's what we're talking about, then I would direct you to my mask resonance video, which is on the channel and available right now. Doug Z. Hey, Jeff, what is your feeling on larynx position? Should it rise slightly while accessing head voice? No. It should stay in a neutral position, or potentially even not really depressed, but it can relax downward so long as it's not being forced down. Ideally, we want it to remain neutral throughout phonation so that wherever you are in your range, it remains stable. The thing to keep in mind is that larynx controls airflow. It doesn't control pitch. So if it's lifting, then we are constricting airflow, and that can negatively impact your ability to successfully transition into your upper register. Because as that airflow abates, as it starts to decline, then the vocal fold will start to take up more weight to try to keep you in tune. And when that happens, at some point, it's not going to be able to vibrate fast enough, and it'll abduct, and you'll get the ligament and a falsetto tone production, which we don't want necessarily. Sometimes we do. We want to make a choice. This is all about choice. This whole thing, this whole channel is all about choice. I want to help you have the most choices so that you can best express what it is you would like to do artistically. Mrs. Webster, sorry I missed the Hangout. Been offline for a while too. Can't find the sequencer group on Facebook. Could someone please post the spelling? Yeah, you know what? It should be. I don't know why it's not searchable. It just is Sequencer. I still would like to find a better name. I mean, we're kind of getting in a groove with sequencer, but if anybody's got a better idea, I'm like totally open for it. Fantastic. Looking forward to more events in Hangouts. Excellent, Heidi. Christopher Green Davis, what's that Facebook group called again? Sequencer. Sequencer. SoCal. Susan Ragos is in SoCal. Lovely, lovely. Every time I've been down to LA and San Diego, man, it is just, that's the California that's just so, I don't know. I like it. I know people have not always the kindest things to say about LA. And granted, you do not want to get stuck in rush hour traffic, but man, I've always had a wonderful time in LA and San Diego and everywhere else. Altug has got you hooked up there, Christopher Green Davis. Santa Monica, Los Angeles, but actually from Germany. It rains a lot lately for LA people, though. Nothing compared to London or Germany. I know. I've been like when I have clients in California that I teach and friends, of course, and they're like, it's raining. And I'm like, yeah, but it's going to stop. It doesn't stop here. It never really stops in London. It's always, it's like it's just hanging back there, you know? It's like that thing you think you're like, what is that? What is that? And you can't really see it, you know, but then it's just lurking. It's just waiting. Christian Vib, saludos desde Mexico. I think you're saying thank you. I'm afraid I don't speak Spanish, but I think that's what you're saying. And thank you very much. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for your kind words. I really, really appreciate it. Mrs. Webster is saying thank you to a bunch of people there. JC's Radiant Ray is acknowledging Mrs. Webster. That's right. Percy Jackson, hello. What to do if the voice sounds nasal and chesty? That's interesting, because normally those two things are mutually exclusive. You're either nasal or you're chesty. I would experiment. I would experiment a lot with how you are blending your resonances. So that exercise with the NG sound, I would try it there. I would try it here. And that would really denasalify it. And just find out how am I blending resonances in my upper register. And then try to find a neutral one that you can utilize through all of your vowels. So you can go and work your way through all your vowels that way, getting that more of a neutral resonance amongst them. And then start to work through your exercises and your songs and see if that helps things. Robert Stebbins. Hey, Jeff, I'm a 17-year-old choral singer in high school, and people have told me that my voice sounds weird in a way that my timbre naturally sounds throaty and in the back. What can I do? Actually, the same thing I was just talking about for Percy Jackson. That exercise is really, really good at learning about how the resonance feels in the front of the mask, but also how it feels with the nasal pharynx. Those two resonators are really, really crucial to having a well-balanced sound really throughout your entire range, but especially in your upper register. And by becoming aware of what that feels like, you can better tune it and get a more even tone throughout your overall range. Maddie Hendricks. Oh, that's awesome. That's when I felt shaky and like I was running out of breath quickly. Yeah. This varies a lot from person to person to person. I don't feel like I can give you an overarching recommendation. What I can tell you is you are probably going to have to experiment not only with the things that you do on stage, but all of the things that come up to it. And I mean the days preceding your performance, what you eat, when you eat, for me is very, very important. When I am on stage, the thing that works for me is to be very, very focused on my engagement, my expansion through my rib cage, and the engagement of my abdominal muscles. This has the twofold benefit of, one, giving me something to focus on, so I'm constructively working towards calming down, but two, making sure that I'm staying engaged and supporting my voice so that I don't start to run out of breath quickly or get shaky like that. It is almost, and this is where like a lot of the voice teacher voodoo starts to come into play too. I almost always wear black on stage or during a performance. I'm not wearing a collared shirt because it's so cold in England right now, but I always wear a black collared shirt when I'm performing. And in fact, when I'm performing my own music, like I'm doing a show, I have one black collared shirt that I wear. It's just that shirt. um, as I've done these, I've been able to relax a lot more, so I can get away with a black jumper. It's probably going to take some experimentation. So there are going to be some successes, there are going to be some failures. It's important to try to notice. And initially, you may just not feel anything at all. You might not have the flow. When I was in university, it was a flow experience. I don't know what they call it nowadays, but that moment of being absolutely immersed in the moment and bringing your absolute best game to the show. So you might not necessarily have that immediately, but you might not feel so gripped. You might notice that you have a bit more, a bit more bandwidth, if you will, to focus on the music making and focus on the expression of it. And those things all are moving in the right direction. So we want to know what we did working up to it, and remember those things or make a note of them so that we can recreate them and see if it works again, and then go from there. Striker Kane's talking to Percy. Striker Kane, the other thing I learned was that what sounds nasal to me doesn't to the audience. My coach had me record every session so I can start to hear what others do. That's true enough. Striker Kane at Maddie. Mrs. Webster, laughing out loud, I too have to do a lot of animal voices. That's for voiceover work. Oh, that sounds nice. Striker Kane is at Maddie. Heidi is at Maddie and at Striker Kane. Maureen, hey, Maureen, welcome. I haven't seen the master. Oh yeah, it's out there. That's been out for a while, I think. Yeah, the nay 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 thing can really really help with that. I like more sustained vowels though. But if you're not doing sustained, that's cool. That's cool. I am going to wrap this up. So Striker at Mrs. Webster, loved Voice Teacher Voodoo. Great name for a song. Bye, JC's Radiant Ray. Yes, goodbye, JC's Radiant Ray. Thank you so much for joining us. Best wishes, Maddie, at your your Nats competition. That's going to be awesome. Please do let us know how it goes, Maddie. Mrs. Webster at Striker and at Heidi and at Maddie. Striker Kane at Pierce. Pierce Jackson, what I mean is it gets buzzy chest like and nasal and gritty. I suspect you're separating the vocal folds slightly. If that's happening, for immediate thing is to engage a bit more so that you can keep the adduction happening. And if not, I'll have to think about that, and maybe we'll see you again. Thank you so much, everybody. Awesome session. Really, really appreciate it. Great questions. Great interactions. Thank you so much. Have a great week. I'll see you next week. And until then, take care of your voices. Enjoy singing, and we'll see you. Bye.